The doctors had done everything. The baby was still dying. Then a broke black nurse walked in and did the one thing none of them dared. The ambulance doors burst open at 2:14 in the morning, and the emergency bay of Hargrove Medical Center swallowed them whole. A woman in a blood-soaked evening gown was already on the gurney, her face twisted into something beyond pain, something closer to surrender. Beside her, barely keeping pace with the paramedics, ran a man who looked like he belonged on the cover of Forbes. Dominic Harwell, 42 years old, software empire worth $9 billion. A man who had never in his life encountered a problem that money couldn't solve. Tonight was different. "She's 8 months along," he was screaming, grabbing the sleeve of the nearest person in scrubs. A truck ran the light. She was conscious when they pulled her out. "Please, please, both of them." Dr. Sandra Voss, head of the overnight trauma team, was already moving. She didn't ask twice. Within seconds, the operating suite was alive with controlled chaos. Monitors shrieking, nurses colliding in navy blue scrubs, surgical lights blazing hot, and white over the table, where Dominic's wife, Lydia, lay fighting for breath. He stood in the hallway outside and prayed. He hadn't prayed since he was 7 years old. 45 minutes later, Dr. Voss came out. Her face told him everything before her mouth did. "Mr. Harwell." She stopped 2 feet away. "Your wife's injuries were catastrophic. The impact caused internal bleeding we couldn't control. We did everything." "Don't." His voice came out like gravel. "I'm so sorry. She didn't survive." The wall caught him. He didn't remember leaning into it. His body just went there on its own, like a building whose foundation had been pulled out from underneath it. He pressed his forehead to the cold plaster and made a sound he had never made before in his life. "But your son is alive," Dr. Voss said quickly. "We delivered him. Emergency C-section. He's in the NICU. Mr. Harwell, he's alive." Dominic straightened. His eyes were raw. "Take me to him." Through the NICU glass, the baby looked impossibly small. 4 pounds, 14 ounces. Wires threaded across his chest like a map of somewhere fragile. A tube no thicker than a straw ran into his nose. Before we continue, tell us in the comments what time it is and where you are watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to our story. Dr. Voss spoke carefully. He has severe neonatal hypothermia. In the trauma, Lydia's blood loss cut off oxygen and warmth to the baby before delivery. When he came out, his system couldn't regulate temperature on its own. We've had him in the warming incubator for nearly 40 minutes. She paused. His core temp is 92 degrees and still falling. It should be 98.6. Dominic stared at his son through the glass. "What does that mean?" "It means that despite everything we're doing, his body isn't responding. Warming blankets, heated 4 fluids, radiant lights, we've tried all of it. His thermostat is broken. If we can't reverse this in the next hour, then fix it." His voice was ice quiet now. The billionaire voice. The voice that moved markets. "This hospital has every piece of equipment money can buy. I personally funded your new neonatal wing. Fix it." Dr. Ellison, the pediatric intensivist, stepped forward gently. "Mr. Harwell, sometimes with trauma births this severe, the infant's autonomic system simply shuts down. We have called in 2 additional specialists, but if his body won't accept the warming, you're telling me my son is going to die?" Nobody answered, and that was the moment Amara Osei appeared in the doorway. She wore light blue scrubs and a white apron. Her ID badge said Amara Osei RN NICU. She was 29 years old, with quiet eyes and hands that had never once trembled when it mattered. She had clocked out 40 minutes ago, was halfway to the parking garage, and had turned back around without being fully able to explain why. "Excuse me," she said. Dr. Voss turned. "Nurse Osei, your shift ended." "I know." Amara walked closer. She wasn't looking at the doctors. She was looking at Dominic Harwell, still pressed against the window, staring at his son. "I heard the code on my way out. I came back because I think I know what to do." Dr. Ellison blinked. Then he actually laughed, not cruelly, but with the exhausted disbelief of a man who had been doing this for 30 years. "Nurse, we have 4 attending physicians in this unit right now. Combined experience exceeds." "I know how to save him," Amara said. Not loud, not aggressive, just certain, the way people are certain about the things they've watched with their own eyes. The hallway went quiet. "That's a significant claim," Dr. Voss said slowly. Amara stepped forward. She spoke to Dominic directly. "Sir, I grew up with nothing. I worked nights at a laundromat and weekends at a grocery store for 4 years to put myself through nursing school. Last summer, I spent 3 weeks volunteering at a maternal health clinic in rural Ghana, a village called Adakram. No backup generators, no warming incubators, just a midwife named Afia Mensah who had been catching babies in that village for 38 years. Dominic turned from the window. His eyes were wet and locked on hers. "While I was there," Amara continued, "I watched Afia save 3 newborns with exactly what your son has right now. 3 babies that the visiting hospital team had already written off. She used a method none of them had ever seen, and I asked her about it until she was tired of me asking. I wrote it down. I practiced it in my head 100 times on the flight home." "She's a nurse," Dr. Ellison said carefully. "Mr. Harwell, this isn't the time for—" "What did she do?" Dominic asked. Only to Amara. Amara took a breath. "When a baby's thermostat breaks down at this level, it's not just that they're cold, it's that their nervous system is caught in a feedback loop. You keep applying warmth, but their brain reads it as a threat and fights back. It's like trying to force restart a computer while it's mid-crash. It fights you. Every warming attempt makes the shutdown worse." She held his gaze. "What Afia taught me is called controlled cold immersion. You stop fighting the body. You surround the baby with a uniform cold environment, medical ice, carefully managed, and the brain stops panicking. The erratic signals stop. The thermostat goes quiet. And then, only then, you remove the cold and begin warming him on a precise graduated schedule. 1 degree every 10 minutes. The body accepts it because it's no longer in defense mode. It resets." Silence. "You want to put him on ice," Dr. Voss said. Her voice was completely flat, suspended above it, surrounded by it, for exactly 3 minutes. "That is not in any clinical protocol I have ever seen." "No," Amara said, "because clinical protocols are written in hospitals that have warming incubators. Afia Mensah worked for 38 years in a village without running water half the year. She learned things that haven't made it into any textbook yet." Dr. Ellison shook his head. "If we try something unsanctioned, and that child, he's already dying." Dominic's voice cut through the room like a blade. He straightened up from the wall. He looked at the 4 doctors, all their credentials, all their certainty about what couldn't be done. Then he looked at Amara Osei, who had turned back from the parking garage for a stranger's child. "You've given me a room full of no. She's giving me a chance." He pointed at Amara. "You have my full authorization. Whatever you need." Amara was already moving. "I need a large metal basin from supply. Medical-grade ice from the organ storage unit. Thermal-wrapped blankets. Warmed 4 saline at exactly 104 degrees. Heated oxygen on standby. And a warming table preset to 99. A younger nurse, Priya, didn't hesitate. "I'll pull the ice." They worked fast. The basin appeared. Amara filled it herself, arranging the ice with an exactness that looked, to everyone watching, almost ritualistic. She checked the warming tables preset twice. Then she lifted the baby. He weighed almost nothing. His lips had gone from pink to the color of a winter sky. His chest moved in shallow, uneven intervals. Amara held him against her for just a moment. Not long, not sentimental, just a breath. And then she positioned him above the basin, supported at the edges, suspended in the cold air rising off the ice. Not submerged, surrounded. 3 minutes, she said. Her voice was steady. Nobody touch anything. The monitor stayed on. The room stayed silent except for the slow, stubborn beep of his heartbeat. 30 seconds in, the temperature reading stopped falling. 92 degrees. Holding. It stopped dropping, Priya whispered. Amara didn't look up. She kept her fingers light against the baby's sternum, counting his breaths, reading him the way Afia had taught her, not from the machines, but from the body itself. Its resistance, its surrender, the moment when it stops fighting and starts listening. That moment came at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, she said. She lifted him from the basin in one smooth motion and placed him on the warming table. Priya handed her the heated saline line. Another nurse brought the oxygen. Amara worked through it all without hesitation. Warm gel packs placed in precise positions around, not on, the baby's body. The oxygen flow adjusted to the milliliter, the table temp locked at 99 degrees. 1 degree every 10 minutes, she said aloud. Not faster. You go faster, you'll shock him. 8 minutes passed. The monitor's beep shifted, subtle at first, like a rhythm finding its tempo. Oxygen saturation coming up, Dr. Voss said. There was something different in her voice now. Something she hadn't let herself feel in the last 45 minutes. 93 degrees. 94. The baby's chest color changed. The gray pulled back from his sternum, his arms, his face, replaced by something warmer. Something that looked like fight. 96 degrees. And then a sound. Thin. Reedy. Absolutely furious. The baby opened his mouth and cried. The room broke apart. Priya had both hands over her mouth. Dr. Chin turned away and pressed his fist to his lips. Dr. Voss read the monitor and for a long moment couldn't speak. 97 degrees. 98. Dominic Harwell dropped to his knees in the doorway of the NICU. He didn't care who saw. He put his face in his hands and sobbed, enormous, ugly, desperate sobs, the sound of a man who had just been handed back something he thought was already gone. Amara kept working. She didn't stop until every reading was stable, every response consistent, every sign telling her the same thing. He's here. He's holding. He's going to make it. Only then did she step back. The baby lay pink and howling on the warming table, his tiny fists clenched, his chest rising and falling strong and even. Dominic reached through the incubator access and touched his son's hand. The baby's fingers curled around his father's finger without hesitation. Tight, instinctive, certain. Amara watched from across the room, exhausted and quiet, her scrubs wrinkled from a shift that had ended an hour ago. She had turned back from the parking garage because something told her to. She had carried a village midwife's knowledge across an ocean and through 3 years of wondering if it would ever matter. Tonight it had mattered more than she had words for. Some things aren't in the textbooks yet. Some knowledge lives in the hands of women who never got famous for what they knew. And sometimes the person who saves a life is the one who almost went home. Drop a comment below. What time is it where you are, and what brought you to this story tonight?